Hey guys, Westy here. Okay, I'm just going to do a cold start on click back in here, on the Blackhawk UH60L, which is the free demo, awesome demo in DCS. It's awesome. It's got the stabulator, it's got the full rotor, it's got twin turbos, it's the beast, it's got autopilot, all that sort of stuff. So I've just got a Tobii eye tracker, and I've got two profiles set up. So one is specifically set up for using your eyes to move around the gauges and stuff, and I can lock it in position and things, which is really quite cool. Because if I use my normal head tracking, it's reasonable. Oh, have I got it? I'll switch it out. Yeah, there it is there. So basically, the first things first is we need to roll up, look up here, and I've got the wrong one set up. And we need to get into this area here. I'll lock that up, and so we need to flick these first switches, not these ones here, but these four here. Right click, generator 1 and 2, APU generator, and battery. All the ignition lights and that will come on. So I'm just going to put the APU on, which is this one tucked in behind here. So all the power's coming on. It's AC power for the system. So I need to, so over here there's a couple of faults that have come up. Boost servo and SAS is off, which is your safety assist system. So turn these two SAS 1 and 2 trim, FPS and boost on. Turn our radio system on. 4 clicks. Get it into long lat and then hit enter twice. Okay, now you should see. I'll need to crank up these radios here. I need to turn this switch on here, this one on here. This one here is for your chafe and stuff. You don't really need it for flying, but okay, so now we can do the actual starting part. Everything else is running. Yep. Okay, so we'll just do a quick gauge test. So left click on this button here and all your lights should come on, including all these warning lights over here, which is the same as over this side here, but it's very difficult to see in the sun. But you can just see them flashing there on and off on this side here. Okay, so they're all good. So we've got no other warning lights. APU is, sorry, APU on, APU gens on. You can see 0 oil pressure on each one. So we've got oil pressures over here, 0 and 0. So the oil pressure warning lights on engine 1 and 2. So this up the top here, this side here is all for the engine 1, and all the other side stuff is for engine 2. So first thing we need to do is right click on this here and roll it into fuel. Roll the fuel on, and press the APU boost on each engine, and then start on start 1, 2. Blade's starting to rotate now, and we're looking for around 270 RPM, just here. So that's the starter cranking at full noise at 200. So we're going to release this here out of into the idle position, and that's going to let that roll up. So now we've got all pressure light's gone out. Get a better view, eh? We're going to 600 RPM, the starter will disengage. There it goes, it's out 630. Now that's sitting here rolling away at 630. We've got 5% torque here. So I'll roll up the second engine. Roll the fuel into the direct position. Hit the starter, and you'll hear it whining. Hear it whine up, and then click this one into idle. Now this will roll the second engine up. Again, once it gets to 600 RPM, the starter will disengage. Where it's sitting at 5% torque on both rotors, both systems, both transmissions. So it's rolling up now, 80, 90, starter out. Okay, it's at 630 now. It's got good oil pressure on first and seconds. It's got temperature on first and seconds. So now we can go through and roll this thing up to full RPM. So I've got a little toggle, rotary switch here set up on my UH60, just here, and just off my thumb it just rolls forward, so I can push both the power controllers at the same time. So I'll slowly crank them up. So you can see the idle here, off and idle. So they're at full noise now, and these things will crank up. You'll see, yeah, I missed it, but the two generator lights have gone out. Now we can turn the APU and the APU gens off. Roll back up here. Come on. Okay, I'll take the focus out. There we go. Okay, so we need to turn the generator off. The third one in here, which is APU gen, left click. And we need to turn these two here off. And that's us. We're running now. So now I'll switch over to my second profile, which I use for flying, which is just purely head movement, rather than eye tracking as well. So the other, yeah, so we're ready to take off. So that's really all you need to do. Just double check to make sure that I took my wheel lock off. Nope, it's still on. And I'll switch over to my other profile. So in here, so the tail wheel's still locked on. They'll go to unlock. Okay. So we're ready to roll now. Just turn my Doppler and my navigation on if I want to set it up later. And that's pretty much us. I haven't, as far as the aircraft goes, I haven't tuned any radios or done anything like that. So, these things are designed because they've got a forward rolling rotor. The rotor system is actually angled forwards. The helicopter is actually quite tail heavy, so when you take off, it actually sits in the tail end. It kind of comes back on the tail. So you've got to give it a little bit of forward, and then you've got to balance it up. So I've got auto trim on this. So these things are set up so that they've got trim release basically. So you hold your finger down, on thumb down on the trim release, and you've got full hydraulic power and control. And then you take it off when you want the system to kind of take over for you. But you do need to be careful with it because it can get you into a lot of trouble. So don't ask me how I figured that out. But basically, the trim release, wherever you point the stick, it actually goes there. So then you hit the release and it comes back. So if I'll stand back a bit. So if I pull back and hold the trim release, it holds back in the position until I hit. Sorry. Okay, we'll do this the other way. So if I hold forwards with the trim release on, and then let the finger let it go, it stays in that position until I release it back off. And you can go backwards and forwards with these things. So good thing about these is you can with the wheel brakes off, you've got quite good control at spinning the helicopter around. With that wheel brake released on the back. So I'll just spin back around here. That's us. So you can either do that or you can just take off. So I'm going to do it with the trim release in. So I've got full control of the helicopter. Oops. So I've released the trim now, and now the helicopter is kind of flying itself with the autopilot. So you kind of like point and shoot, basically, point and release. So it's a lot less fatiguing. Or so they tell me. You know, so you can give it a little bit of a nurse, but you've got to be pretty careful because it can actually take over and give you a whole lot of trouble. This is actually quite disorientating. Oops. So let's go flying. I'll switch over my second profile. Okay, it's jammed now. That's alright, we've still got good vision. It's having a hissy fit. So yeah, so you can cruise along. I'm get over these power lines. They're quite dangerous. So now I'm actually applying quite a bit of, because I'm under a lot of power, I'm pulling quite a bit of right stick, right, and that's the controls fighting me. So I can actually now push to the right a little bit, and let the autopilot steer me in that direction. And it's actually taking over a lot of the tail rotor work as well. And it's actually a lot easier to fly under with, you can feel the hydraulics. It's quite sluggish, but you can still fly it, if you get what I mean. It's quite hard to explain how it works. So it's almost a point and shoot. You can put a correction in and then hold it, and then release it back again. And the autopilot, so you can, and then release it if you get into trouble. Just push the complete reset from reset. But it will generally, it's really quite good to because it takes over most of those. It increases the stability of the helicopter basically. So if that makes sense, flying a bit high now. Right, a bit high. You can see the highlight there on the altitude there. It's got high. Oh yeah, here we go. Yes, so that's pretty much in a nutshell. So I'm letting the heli fly itself pretty much. Once I've got it in the direction, I mean, you wouldn't take your hands off, but it's actually quite stable. So it actually even tries to correct me. But if you get, yeah, it gets out of hand pretty quick if you don't pay attention. But it's a lot easier than, yeah. So I'm just going to try and land over in one of these fields over here. So lots of the power lines too. We'll clear over the top of those power lines at 12 o'clock and I'll scoot in beside them. Just in here. Just in the orbit. And we'll come to a so you can use the system to do all the hard work, and then when it comes into the final part, when you want the finer, so we're still traveling at quite a high rate of speed, so I'll throttle off and I'll pull round so we don't hit these power lines. Okay, now I'm going to apply my trim. And we're just nosing through here. Right, and then we can just pull up and through here. So that's basically it anyway. And then just when you're taking off again, you just pull back on the collective and don't do that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure this has bored you to death, but anyway. but it's yeah, it's quite forgiving to fly. Lots of power anyway. So I'll just bring it in slowly. Oops, stacked it. Useless. All right, peace out.